In a world where the greatest prison isn't made of bars or stone, but thoughts, one soul wanders endlessly, trapped not by fate but by fear. Tonight we step into the Labyrinth of Thought, a story about silence, struggle, and the one decision that changes everything. If you believe that some battles are fought in the mind before the world ever sees them, then this story is for you. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for more haunting tales like this. Let's begin. In a world not so far from ours, there exists a place that no map can chart, a vast, endless labyrinth formed not by walls of stone or hedge, but by the weight of a single thought. Those who enter it never walk in with their feet, but fall in the moment. Life shatters unexpectedly. The ground beneath them, sturdy and sure, turns to liquid and swallows them whole. They're left with no choice but to surrender to its flow, to let themselves be carried away on a tide of grief, regret, anger, or fear. There, in the swirling depths, they lose themselves in everything that gave meaning to their lives, until they have nothing left but a hollow echo of the person they once were. We follow one such soul named Elias, whose life was upended by one sudden blow, a loss, a failure, a question that had no answer. All he knew was the overwhelming feeling of emptiness inside him, a gaping hole where joy and hope used to reside. But even in this formless void, something stirred within him, a faint flicker of defiance against the darkness. Deep down, Elias believed it was only a matter of time, that someone would come, take his hand, and lead him out of the maze. And someone did come, a voice, a presence, gentle and kind. It spoke of light, of hope, of all that still remained. If only Elias could reach out and grasp it. It offered him solace, understanding, a shared silence in the suffocating pressure of his despair. It told him stories, painting vivid pictures of a world beyond the labyrinth, reminding him of dreams long forgotten and aspirations put on hold. It showed him paths leading to different corners of the maze, each adorned with enticing possibilities, each beckoning him closer to the comforting warmth of its light. With every step, the voice grew louder, its touch more reassuring. But no matter how kind the voice, no matter how many doors it opened, Elias couldn't walk through it. He saw the beauty of the world through the cracks in the walls, but he couldn't join it. He felt the warmth of the sun on his skin, smelled the sweetness of flowers in bloom, heard the laughter of children playing, yet he couldn't reach out and touch them. The voice led him to the very edge of the labyrinth, to the threshold where light spilled in like a golden promise. But when the moment came to step through the opening and embrace the hope offered to him, Elias hesitated. Fear, doubt, and the heaviness of his grief threatened to pull him back into the maze's suffocating embrace. The voice didn't pressure him, didn't scold him for his hesitation. It simply waited, an unwavering beacon of kindness and understanding. But the longer Elias stayed on the threshold, the more the darkness within him seemed to grow. It twisted and writhed, reaching out with grasping fingers, trying to drag him back into its suffocating depths. Elias cried out, overwhelmed by the sudden surge of emotion, the pain, the loneliness, the crushing weight of his despair threatening to consume him. Yet amidst the turmoil, a new resolve began to stir within him. A spark of defiance ignited in his eyes as he turned to face the darkness that had held him captive for so long. The voice hadn't lied. The labyrinth wasn't infinite. It had edges, boundaries. Hope was real, waiting for him just beyond the maze. But the journey out wasn't just about following a path. It was about confronting the shadows within. With each step forward, the labyrinth shifted, its walls morphing into reflections of his deepest fears and regrets. Every turn presented him with a choice: succumb to the darkness or choose hope. He realized that the real prison was never the labyrinth itself, the endless maze of thoughts and emotions that had trapped him. It was the chains he'd wrapped around his own heart, the barriers he'd built to protect himself from the pain of the world. But the greatest discovery came when he realized that the key to breaking these chains lay within him all along. The strength to move forward resided in the depth of his sorrow, the courage to keep going, in the whispers of hope that refused to be silenced. As he ventured deeper into the labyrinth, Elias encountered fragments of himself scattered throughout the maze, remnants of the dreams, aspirations, and joys that had once defined him. These fragments, once lost and forgotten, now offered glimpses of the man he could still become. They reminded him of the beauty he'd once seen in the world, the love he'd shared, and the laughter that had echoed in his heart. With each fragment he gathered, Elias felt a part of himself returning, making the journey not just about escaping the labyrinth, but about rediscovering who he truly was. The labyrinth seemed to sense his transformation, for the very walls that had held him captive began to crumble. Doors that had remained sealed opened as if by magic, revealing not just paths, but possibilities, a myriad of choices and opportunities that lay ahead. Some paths shimmered with the promise of adventure and new beginnings, while others beckoned with the comfort of familiarity and the warmth of loved ones. Each path was a testament to the fact that life, like the labyrinth, was full of twists and turns, but ultimately led to a place of light and hope. With newfound clarity, Elias understood that the labyrinth wasn't an external maze, but a reflection of the internal journey he'd been through. It was in the depths of his despair that he'd found the strength to confront his fears, the courage to face his past, and the compassion to forgive himself. As he finally reached the heart of the labyrinth, he discovered not a treasure, not a prize, but the echo of his own laughter, the memory of a dream, the warmth of a loved one's embrace. It wasn't about the destination, but the transformation that had taken place within him. The world didn't change. The past didn't change, but Elias did. He emerged from the labyrinth not as the man he once was, but as someone stronger, wiser, more compassionate. The labyrinth had tested him, broken him, and in doing so, had shown him the boundless strength of the human spirit. Now, standing at the edge of the labyrinth, the world stretched before him, full of promise and possibility. The sun shone brighter, the colors seemed more vibrant, and the laughter of children carried on the breeze sounded like music to his ears. He took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin and the gentle caress of the wind through his hair. It was a simple, grounding feeling that reminded him of his place in the world, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a survivor, a warrior who had stared into the abyss and emerged victorious. He knew that the labyrinth would always be there, waiting patiently behind him, ready to test those who stumbled upon it. But he also knew that he was no longer bound by its confines. He was free to explore the world, to chase his dreams, and to embrace the beauty of life. With newfound determination in his eyes, Elias turned away from the labyrinth and stepped into the light. He walked with a lighter step, his shoulders squared, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that he possessed the strength, the wisdom, and the hope to overcome them. As he disappeared into the distance, the labyrinth seemed to sigh, its walls rumbling like a gentle giant, content in the knowledge that it had done its job. Another soul had passed through, forever changed by the experience, and somewhere, beyond the maze, beyond the darkness, a single flower bloomed, a small act of defiance against the odds, a testament to the enduring power of hope. This is the story of Elias, a man who dared to confront the labyrinth of his own despair and emerged not just as a survivor, but as a beacon of hope for those still lost in the shadows. And as the echoes of thought fade into silence, remember, no one can walk you out of your own mind but you. Some never escape. Others find strength in the very memories that once trapped them. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a light in their own labyrinth. Until next time, keep walking.